Welcome back, everybody. So in the last few sections, I know we didn't work off of our main application because we were mostly implementing in different features that can challenge the existing solutions of React Redux inside of our main e-commerce platform by testing out Context API and then switching over to GraphQL and Apollo client. So it's actually been a while since we've worked on our main application. But now that we've finished those tangential sections where we've really deeply explored other alternatives to the React Redux architecture that we already currently have, it's time we come back and start rounding out our application with the last 20% that gives our application that extra oomph. Now, these things might not actually be any features at all. In fact, in the upcoming sections, we are going to round out your skill set as a web developer so that you understand that last kind of mysterious part of what it takes to build an application effectively and have it be performant. So one of the first things that I want to talk about is actually making our website mobile friendly. Now, currently our website is not mobile friendly. It is a little bit responsive, but it's not fully optimized for the mobile viewing experience. So what we're going to do is actually modify the CSS in our files so that they are more aligned with how we would want it to look on a mobile browser. And I'm going to show you that by using media queries. Now, before we actually dive into the code of writing our media queries, one of the main things we have to think about is actually how do we make sure that we can view our application inside of a mobile environment. If you're rolling Chrome, it's actually extremely easy to do so. The Chrome browser allows us to just open up the DevTools and click this little tablet-looking icon inside at the top of that toolbar, which says Toggle Device Toolbar. If you click this, you'll actually see your mobile web view be your main view now, where your browser was before. You can adjust the size of this, and in the top number here, you'll see the actual width and height of your new view. So this pretty much simulates a mobile view. So this is the main way that we are going to use it to see what it is that we are actually going to have as the mobile version of our web application. Now that we have this, we are going to start leveraging these media queries to modify our code to be more mobile friendly. So let's go back to our application. One of the first things that we need to do is actually change this final app.css file over to style components. Now, the way that we imported the style sheet is perfectly fine, right? It's just one app.css style sheet that doesn't necessarily have to change when we moved over to CSS and JS. But for consistency's sake, we might as well do it. And it's really easy in order to implement global styles. All we have to do is use this new function called create global styles. So in order for us to do that, we're going to make a new folder that will hold the component that represents our global styles. So we'll write this new file and we'll call it global.styles.js. Now, inside of here, we are going to import in from the styled components library, this thing called create global style. So with this, we can actually create this new const called global style, which is equal to us using this create global style, and then we pass it our tilde version of our string, right? Because we want string interpolation. And now all we do is we just put all those styles that we had inside of our index.css inside of here. If we really wanted to, we could even do it with our index.css as well. But this is inside of our index.js and it's not 100% necessary, right? Let's just do it with our app.css. So once we've placed the new styles inside of this global style, we'll make sure to export this out. And all we need to do in order to bring it into our application is literally load it at the top level of our app. So what we'll do is we will go back to our app.js. We'll remove this import that we had before. And in its place, we will import in our global styles. So let's actually move this header up here. and say import global style from our new global styles file. And now it's literally just a component that we can put above the header like so. And this will apply those styles into our application. So if we go back to our application and we switch our view back, we'll see that our global style and our padding is still there. In fact, if we inspect this, we see we still have our padding. And our body still has the padding code that we had from our global style sheet. So it's really convenient to do it this way because now we are pretty consistent with the way that we're writing our code. In fact, now we can get rid of this app.css file because we don't need it anymore, and we can start leveraging these media queries. So the first thing I want to do is I want to reduce the padding on this mobile view of our application. So how do I do that? Well, I keep talking about media queries, so I'm going to show you what it actually looks like when we write them. You put the media query inside of the CSS selector that you want to modify. So if we have style components, we just make sure to put this media query inside of that style component as well. And the way that a media query looks is it takes the format of this @media. And here, what we'll say is screen and then inside of here, we put certain properties that tell it at what point do we want this style block to be applied. Now, here you can set things like min width and max width, or just one or the other. And all this is saying is pretty much, I only want you to render the CSS block here that we'll put inside of here. So wherever here it is, we'll say there's some CSS inside of here, right? We only want this to render based on the rules that we write inside of these brackets. So in my case, I'm going to say max width is 800 pixels. Meaning that anything below 800 and below in terms of the width will get these styles. Anything above 800 pixels will not get these styles. So our body styles will be applied, but then these media screen max width of 800 pixels, this block of CSS that we're about to write, is going to be applied as long as the window's width does not exceed 800 pixels. So here I want to set the padding to 10 pixels all around, instead of what we had before where our padding was 20 pixels top bottom, 40 pixels on the left and right. Now if we save and we go back, we see that our padding has shrunk. Now we only have a 10 pixel border padding around the body. So that is our media query. Now, I'll link a resource for you guys to see other media queries that you can write because there's so many, right? This is literally just the pixel amount that I chose to dictate. Because I find with iPhones, their pixel count based on the new Retinas is a little bit challenging, so that sometimes the amount of pixels that you think it might be a little higher. I find that most browsers do not have a width smaller than 100 pixels. And if it's a tablet, it's perfectly fine if it responds the same way as we would see for a mobile device if it was inside of a portrait view. So I find 800 pixels to be one that I'm comfortable with. Of course, you can dictate and set them to whatever else you want. Resources that I've linked for you have multiple breakpoints that are also always changing as the technology for phones gets better, screen resolutions get larger. It's literally just completely dictated by whatever you and your team decide to do. I personally like this 800 pixel rule for my max width for a project like this, where mobile views are not biggest and most important thing to me. But I do want my screen to be responsive and I want my application to be responsive. And it's really just that simple. We have this media query for our mobile view of 800 pixels, right? Or below. And then we just make sure to modify the padding or whatever other properties we want to set differently, or also add now, right? So that our screen responds the right way when it's in this mobile view. Now, I'm going to go around and modify a couple more components in the next lesson, but then I do want you guys to try it yourself and tinker around with it because this is a great chance for you to kind of see and play around with some of the CSS so you can have it look a way that you want. In the end, it's really just a matter of taste with styling, but I'm going to show you what I'll do for some of these components that I think will end up looking nice. So you can either proceed yourself with trying to convert some of these styles yourself first. You can watch the next video and then do it after that. It's entirely up to you, but this section is purely on making our website responsive. So with that, I will see you in the next lesson.